I wouldn't dare try it. I don't even want the possibility of becoming addicted to something that is going to make me physically dependent upon it.
My name is Kayla, and I'm a recovery advocate.
Hi, my name is Chris, and I'm a cannabis advocate.
Hi, my name is Devin, and I'm fascinated with mental health.
My name is Juan Camilo González Ochoa Trios de la Rueda, for the Gringos JC, and I am pro these things that grow out of the ground and make us shift our perspective.
My name is Key. I am honestly middle ground.
My name is Kiki Dexter, and I'm here pro marijuana.
First statement is, I or someone I love has been addicted to drugs.
So my sister went to rehab for extensive drugs usage. It affected her life very heavily and was in rehab, cost my parents a lot of time, energy, money, and just emotional draining for the whole family.
My dad is a very adamantly recovering heroin addict. I think he first got addicted when he was like 20, 21. It was the influx of drugs into the cities in the 80s. It still affects his life.
I had a physical dependence on prescription anti-anxiety medication, Klonopin specifically, for like 7 years. I went to treatment like 3 years ago and eventually found my way back. I would consider myself sober. I've been sober for like 2.5 years.
Alcohol played a big role in my life. Marijuana played a big role in my life. I did notice going into my 20s that the pattern, that I do have a propensity to want to get fucked up. Now, I don't smoke, I don't drink, or at least that's my intention. But there comes a time when it's like, cool, I think I could go for a nice LSD trip in the woods. That'd be nice.
People often become emotionally dependent on recreational drugs.
Yeah, I think they do. For example, I had a great childhood, but I was sexually abused. Nobody knew what was going on. By the time I was 14, I was using whatever I could get my hands on to deal with the emotional turmoil that I was dealing with inside. And when we're so young, we have traumatic events or we have these situations and these circumstances that stick with us, and we don't know how to process them, and so we reach out to whatever's closest to us: food addiction, drug addiction.
I think it's good to establish a distinction between recreational use and habitual use. Because that's one thing I heard you guys talking about, and I don't feel that people really become emotionally dependent when they're recreationally using it. When they're habitually using it, when they're using it to solve problems, then it does become an issue because you're not dealing with balance at that point. I mean, you're tipping one way on the scale, you're clearly going to affect other areas and get sick.
I believe drugs are safe in moderation.
Moderation? I don't know what I think. Actually, I agree. I think so. What's up, guys? This was a hard one for me. I just had to hone in on that word moderation. Like if I'm smoking once or twice a week, that's fine. But if I'm smoking every day of my life, every second I get up and I can't function, then of course that's when there's a red line. I wouldn't say like using things like heroin or cocaine, like using that in moderation. I think that's just harmful. But if we're talking about the subject of marijuana and that use, then yeah.
Well, here's why I disagree. I think there are levels to this. I don't think all drugs are safe, even in moderation. Like, you take a wrong Molly or whatever the Percocet pill is, like people have died from that. And that was technically in moderation. One pill, one day, life gone. Same thing with heroin. Like, that's something that could drastically change your life in a day.
The moderation part of it is tough because with pharmaceuticals, mainly to me, you mix two of those things, you're gone. And that's terrifying.
Yeah, And there are so many circumstances where it only takes one time to become physically dependent. Even in my case, I take prescription medication for sleeping. I hate that I'm on it, and I hate that I have to use it to function. If you don't have to absolutely do it, why do it?
So let me ask you this though, what's the distinction for you between that and like ayahuasca, peyote, DMT, the different?
It's not necessary.
I think there's just a distinction that I'm gonna invite you to look at. Is like there is a difference between cocaine.
Oh,
and
100%.
ayahuasca.
100%.
But what I'm saying is neither are necessary. My question to you is, are you saying to all the young people, like, you will not be able to open your mind fully unless you go and do this?
No, what I'm saying is that I hold everybody high and I hold everybody with the ability to think for themselves. But also going out and having an intentional, purposeful, responsible encounter with mushrooms or LSD supported me in getting over my addiction to marijuana and alcohol.
But the point being is the safety issue, and what you might have gotten in that moment when you took the drugs and it opened your mind and you were able to realize a lot of stuff, I think people should do on their own without the drugs.
Drugs reduce people's potential.
I think even with psychedelic drugs, to the point earlier, even if they are opening your mind up, that's really not your potential. That's not your potential. Your potential is the organic potential. And a lot of your organic self is wonderful and it is marvelous. And if you take a little time to work and develop that muscle like a talent, then you will be able to reach your fullest potential.
When I got sober, I went back to school, which I never thought I would do. I worked 2 jobs, I started a small business. Like, I think of all of the people who are usually hypersensitive and end up getting into drugs because they can't deal with their emotions. And all of those people could be potentially adding to society, and they're not because they're in their own world.
So I really don't feel that they harm people's potential. I think they help people gain their potential in a lot of different ways. And I mean, with cannabis alone, we have an endocannabinoid system within our body. It's one of our main receptors within our brain that it's like a lock and key for cannabis. We're made of the same materials. Our brain synthesizes those materials within it. So I really do feel that our potential isn't hindered by drugs. Some, but totally, I can see some 100%, but overall, natural ones, not at all.
Some of the most powerful people in the world right now in Silicon Valley and creating some of the most powerful startups are all microdosing.
Oh, totally.
2 years ago, I had my first mushroom experience. So I went into the woods, I went in nature, I set the intention, I'm gonna have this experience that I've never had before. It was a remarkable experience, and I felt a deeper truth within my connection to the earth, something I hadn't had in a long time. And it was kind of this reconnection with my spirituality.
I can relate to you because I also come from a very spiritual background. I think wherever that framework is for you, like if it's drugs, then that's for you. I think that's a dangerous path. I also think that for me, that thing is God. Like me having faith in God and a relationship with God, that is the opening to my spirituality. Like I don't need to take drugs to get there.
Have you done psychedelics?
No.
So it's like someone that hasn't had sex talking about white.
No, it's not. That's not what it's like at all. Like, but
how do you know? How do you know?
But the thing is I don't need to know. That's my point. My point is.
You don't need to know.
Do you have a relationship with Christ? Have you spoken in tongues? That doesn't mean anything. That's a cross. That's not a relationship. They're very
symbol,
different.
Right?
It's
a relationship.
It's a cross. That is not a relationship. The two are very different. That's my point. So you don't have to ask me what I did not do. What I said was, and I'll repeat it, my experience and my relationship with Christ, for me, that supersedes my desire to even go into that path because I find myself very happy, very successful, I'm thriving within my being, and I don't need the substitute.
There is a lot of false information about recreational drugs.
So everyone agrees.
No
No one knows nothing.
Let's get informed.
Let's get informed. That's why we're here.
It's like based on the culture, the perception. And I'm strictly talking about marijuana, but you know, at one point in history, it was also used for medicine. It was used for religion. It was used for, you know, hemp was used for a variety of things. Like, and there's people that don't know that. It's a part of our history. So when I think about how ill-informed people are, that's one of the main things.
But the truth is, like, do I really want all of the information? I'll be honest, no, I don't. I don't really need it. You know, I agree with the statement. That's why I walked over, because I will agree that like there's a lot that I don't know about recreational drugs. And I think that there's a lot that most people don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I walked over for the same thing. I try and keep an open mind at all times and realize that a wise man knows that he knows nothing. And so, especially with cannabis, and now I'm aware and have researched, you know, cannabis oils and taken CBD myself, and I am interested in, as someone who takes pharmaceutical medication, as cannabis as an alternative, but my perspective, and once again, versus recreational versus, I would consider that for me, medical use.
There's a great deal of misinformation. I mean, just like the pharmaceutical, I mean, we have all these things that are getting pumped into our homes all the time with all of these side effects and side effects and side effects. More than half the commercial is all side effects. But yet it's telling you it's okay to take that. It's cool to take that. Yeah, it can probably kill you. Exactly. But it's okay to take that. But you can't take these other. Yeah. Take this one and take this one. But don't take this thing over here that can actually help you.
Exactly.
And
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and I think that's because there are people that benefit from our like us not being literate about this subject.
But I have to realize like why we're here for this video is pushing information and for recreational drug purposes and like the misinformation, but I think that it takes a lot more education and usually a really bad circumstance for you to want to change around your life and be like, fuck, what am I doing? Like, there has to be more than this, but most people never get uncomfortable enough to need to make that realization. And so I'm just not going to push it because I just think that it's going to end up way more negative, unfortunately.
Inform the people!
Hey guys, it's Kendra from Jubilee Media. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Middle Ground. We really try to inspire radical empathy through our episodes, so make sure you let us know what you thought in the comments below, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and we'll see you next time.